always bet on yourself. Don't bet on anybody else. Always invest in yourself because if anybody's going to make anything happen, it's going to be you.
Yeah, let's get started. I would like to learn a bit more about you. What was your job prior to owning your business, and what made you want to jump into entrepreneurship and start your own brand?
Oh gosh. So I went to school for interior design actually, and right when I graduated, they came out with HGTV. like like literally within the same months. So I knew that my that career was probably not going to be very it wasn't going to sustain me the way that I would like to live life. So I started to flip stuff on Craigslist and make money that way. And then that led into getting opening up an eBay store. And then Amazon kind of took over eBay. So then I started an Amazon store and switched gears and kind of, I know that they used to sell books a long time ago. I don't know if some people know that because I'm an old timer on online selling, and they opened it up to other categories and I hopped on board with that and kind of just took off from there. So I was doing interior design as like a side gig. I was doing all these other jobs. I think I was a barista. I worked at a rug shop. I was a waitress. And then until the Amazon started to be more profitable, because you just keep investing the money that you earn and you just keep reinvesting in new products. So that took about, I would say, probably about 3 years of doing this as a side hustle and my other jobs until I could fully quit all my other jobs and do this full time. And that was actually that's not the business that I run now. It was called MBW Northwest. That was my first Amazon store. And I very successful with that store. And then Amazon Basics came out and wiped me out. So I had to close down the doors because they were pretty much copying everything that I did for half the price. So my sales went basically to zero overnight, which was really scary because I'd built a pretty big successful business. But I'm very frugal. So I saved a lot of money and I was able to switch gears, and I created a product that Amazon would have a much difficult time knocking me off. So hence that's where Little Advents came from. So it's a little bit more of a difficult product. It's not just something that you buy in bulk and then slap your label on there, which is what I was doing before. And so that's why I made Potty Time Adventures, because I was struggling with potty training and advent calendars and the whole aspect of like this is the surprise unboxing aspect for kids is really huge. So I thought that'd be a fun combination, and then group it with educational wood products, which is always good. So then closed down MBW Northwest stores, opened up Little Advents. That happened really fast too, because we had to switch gears pretty fast. And that's what I'm doing now.
Wow, that's amazing. It's funny. I was just watching a video earlier by Kevin O'Leary, and he was saying one of the things that you must know as an entrepreneur is that you have to be able to pivot at any time, and because anything could happen.
Absolutely.
And I love that you were able to, maybe you didn't plan for it, but you were able to pivot.
Yeah.
Even though Amazon came and unfortunately they've done
Yeah.
that for a lot of people.
Yeah.
They came and over competed and beat your initial brand. So you were able to start this pretty cool concept, or not concept, I mean pretty cool brand. And tell me a little bit about it. Like, why did you create this product? You said you were having trouble potty training, or tell me a little bit more about that.
So my daughter Ruby was a very reluctant potty trainer, and she just did not get motivated for anything. And like I was saying, the unboxing crave was huge. That was a very big interest to her. So just combining the aspects of a potty training chart and an advent calendar with little hidden rewards, that was just a spark of like an idea bomb that went off. And I thought, well, let's just make a little mock-up and see if it works on her. And she was immediately interested. And right after she used this little prototype that I made, which is probably in here somewhere. I'm working out of my closet, by the way. So it looks like an office, but it's not. And so I tried it out on her, and immediately she wanted to go to the bathroom again. And that was the number one like the huge issue that we were having was trying to get her to at least want to sit on the toilet. She did not want to do anything to go and sit on the toilet. She was freaked out. So this kind of got her over that hump and got her motivated to actually just want to like follow through with the process and not be scared.
I love that. Is there anything similar or competitive to this?
I mean, unless you're going to look at like an actual advent calendar, which there's nothing that's has the hidden wood blocks inside, which are all CPSC safety certified for 18 months and older, because that's some kids start pretty early at about 18 months old. So that was a huge aspect. And I think a lot of the advent calendars that are out there are very chokeable hazards. So this is very geared towards like an 18-month-old to a 3-year-old. The graphics, blocks, the designs, everything. So, I mean, I think my number one here is just a potty training chart, which I actually did just come out with. I made a like a more simplified version of Potty Time Adventures to capture a lower price point, because I really want this to be affordable to everybody. So it's half the price, but this one also comes with, instead of the motivation to get the little figures, the little wood blocks inside, you get this like little customizable crown, and you're earning stickers to fill in your crown. It's actually quite adorable. So many milestones.
Did you use any softwares or research tools to do some market research before starting to see if like there is a demand on this?
Not really. I knew that there was nothing out there like Potty Time Adventures, so that was kind of an easy win for me. And then getting into this category, there's a whole bunch of potty training charts out there, but none that specifically look like my branded graphics. So then I wanted to come out with a potty training chart as well, just to capture, even if it's just like a little bit of the market, and to further my brand.
So is it like a problem you were having and you had it? It's almost like a passion product of yours that you're like, I want to make this happen. If I'm struggling with this, other parents are.
Absolutely. Yeah. People either know or they don't know. And if you struggle with potty training with your toddler, you will know the difficulties. And then some people it doesn't resonate with at all because they had no issues at all. So, but that's not my customer. So, but you can use it for other things too. So, it's not, maybe some children don't want to brush their teeth. So you can convert this and use it in other ways rather than just potty training. It's really any type of behavior incentive reward chart.
Interesting. I could use one of those.
Well, I'll just send me your address and I'll pop one in the mail.
I'm just kidding. That's funny. And how did you come up with the brand name Little Advents?
I honestly, I think it was, the advent calendar, and then so Lil was for little kids, so Little Advents. That's kind of just what stuck.
Okay.
I don't really feel like there was too much thought process behind that, because again, I had to close MBW Northwest doors and immediately opened this up. So everything moved pretty fast. And I had to create the design, the graphics, everything, because the person that was going to China was going there like to source a factory for us, was going within I think it was 4 weeks. So from the conceptual idea to having graphics in hand to get samples, it was 4 weeks. So it was a lot for product development stage. I didn't even know how to use Illustrator. I had to teach myself Illustrator. I got a graphics designer on board to give me some basic shapes, and then I manipulated what she gave me to basically what turned out to be Potty Time Adventures today.
Is that where you paid about almost $4,000 for a graphic designer, or is that for something else?
If I said graphic designer, it was probably her, because I think each theme was probably around $700, because she gave me a basic shape for cow, and then it was the block shape, and then it was the face shape, which I call mug shots. So I had each mug shot and each block shape, and then we have four themes. So I think each theme cost somewhere around $700 to $800, something like that, which I thought was very reasonable. Even though I had to go in and kind of manipulate everything, it was a good thing for me to a good base to start off of.
Yeah. So yeah, let's jump into it, because I'm curious, and I would like to know. So you started creating the design yourself. You had the concept in your mind, and you basically learned you hired a graphic designer to help you with this, and you put a a design concept together, and then you start looking for a manufacturer?
Yeah, so through this is kind of a weird, this is kind of how like the stars aligned, and you don't even have to talk about this on the show because it's kind of, it goes deep, like how I was even able to find someone to source like a manufacturer factory. Um, so the previous business, MBW Northwest on Amazon, like I said, it was doing really well. And and I don't know if you've heard about this, but years back there was a thing that Amazon started to come after. It's actually the state of California. They started to come after small sellers like myself and demand back taxes owed for the products that were sold in California, because they had a whole bunch of FBA's warehouses in California and across the whole United States. But if you have sold certain dollar point in their warehouse, you have just now created nexus. Have you heard of this before? Creating
No, I've
nexus in a warehouse?
no.
So neither did I. Had no idea. It's probably in a small fine print somewhere that no entrepreneur would ever know. So the
And
state of California,
this is why we like to talk to
yeah,
sellers so we can learn from each
exactly.
other.
Yeah, so there was, and now it's not even a thing at all because it's gotten fixed. Now each state collects their own taxes. That was the case before for online sales. They didn't collect sales tax. So they were basically coming after me, a small seller, saying, "Hey, you owe this much amount of money in sales tax because we didn't collect it and you were supposed to collect it." Like, well, how are you supposed to collect these taxes off of these sales when our product is scattered throughout every state in the United States? So that means that you would need to open up a business license in every state and then submit sales taxes per city in each state in each city. Like, nobody can do that. So it was a huge mess. And I keep saying we because I was married at this time. So it's kind of like embedded in my brain. We're not married anymore, but that was my business partner before, not anymore.
Mm.
So we wrote to the California state treasurer because this was like a huge deal that was going on. And basically pleaded our case, like, this is not our fault. Amazon should be the person paying for this, not small businesses. You're going to put people out. Like, this would have put us out of business again. And we were already like going out of business because of Amazon Basics. And then this letter comes in the mail, like hundreds of thousands of dollars that they say we owe in back taxes. So I'm freaking out. I'm crying every night. So we wrote her a letter explaining what was going on. And then so it's called the CDTFA, which is the California State Tax Department Administration, CDTFA, something like that.
Yeah, I'm familiar
Um,
because I live in California.
okay. So the CDTFA needed a case subject to go to court or to the states and like propose something. So because you can't just like go with an idea. You need to like have a subject matter. I was a subject matter. So they flew me out to California as basically representing Amazon sellers. And we're like, this is this we're explaining why this shouldn't be our fault. And they're saying, no, this is why this is your fault. And it was this huge ordeal. But anyway, it came to that now everybody collects their own sales tax. Amazon collects their own sales tax. eBay collects their own sales tax. So if you are the seller and this is like your platform, you're the person that's responsible for collecting sales tax now, not the small sellers. So it was a huge deal. But still, they still say that I owe them back taxes. And I'm like, well, I closed down the business. So, and you're not collecting them from anybody else anymore. So I just kind of let it go. Yeah. So
Yeah, they
anyway, from all that, we hired an attorney to help us, and he is part of the Online Sellers Guild. Oh gosh, I'll get you the information of his name. His name's Paul Raffleson. He was a huge advocate for this whole crap that was going on. And so was Fiona Ma. She's like, I have her number in my cell phone. Like, we text each other. He was the California State Treasurer, because this was like such a big deal. And so from that, Paul Raffleson, we pitched that idea. I don't know if he wants me to say his name though, so we might have to take that out. So this attorney who was helping us, he said we pitched him the Potty Time Adventures idea, and he said, "Hey, I actually know somebody that might help you be able to bring this to market." So then we got in touch with this toy mogul, and then he said, "Hey, I'm going to China in 4 weeks. If you can get me graphics, I'll source a factory for you." So that's how that all came about. It was like boom, 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 boom. All this stuff was going on. It was very exciting, but it was incredibly stressful at the same time. So that was my big.
Wow.
I knew I was going to loop it together. It just took me a minute, but it was a lot.
Well,
So
wow, that's a lot. Yeah. Well, good for you for dealing with that. I mean,
yeah,
that sounded like a handful.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad that passed for you.
Me too. Me too.
But like, yeah, let's jump back into it. So like you got your design idea, and I want to know, like, did you take that to a manufacturer to bring it into life? So I think you said you sent someone to China. Did you have someone who communicated it for you, or was that you, or?
Yeah, so the toy mogul that we had met, he sourced out a factory that makes wood products. So, because he wants to, any factory that he uses, he wants to actually see the factory himself to make sure it's, following certain guidelines. So he went there, sourced out the factory for us, and then I created all the Illustrator graphics for everything. And then I sent them to him, and then he gave them to the factory for me. So his company has been my go-between between the factory, so they can talk to the factories, because I can't speak Chinese. This is manufactured in China, and so they help. And then the new products that I'm making, same thing. They're my go-to person for the factories.
So he's your liaison for talking to factories in China.
Yes.
Okay, so you don't.
Well, and it's his company now. I mean, originally with this first product, it was him specifically. And now that I'm an old timer customer, I've been around for a while. So now I talk to other people in the company too.
Okay. He wasn't your supplier, was he? I mean, you meant he's someone who talks to factories.
Yeah. What do you mean by supplier? I'm still learning certain words.
He wasn't a manufacturer for you. He was just your liaison.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
No, I'm technically the manufacturer.
Oh, I
So I
see.
have,
Okay.
so like they're my factory, but I put Lil Advents down as the manufacturer.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's your person who connects you with your factory, basically.
Yes.
He's the one
Yep.
who you communicate with him, he communicates with the factory.
Yes.
That's what he does. Does he go checks the samples, the production runs?
Yeah, we have people that are over there. So when we do our sample runs, we do quality control and all of that stuff too.
So how much do you pay him to do that?
He probably doesn't want me to tell you because I have a very good rate.
Oh, okay, that's it. Well, I don't know who he is.
I know. I'm gonna leave that one. I'm gonna leave that one under wraps.
Okay, no worries.
It's well worth it, because I can't source a factory. I can't all the things that he's able to do for me, that's like way above my pay grade. I know what I can do, and whatever I can't do, I outsource. It's not that much that I outsource, but something like that, I don't. That's over my head.
So he helps you find your factory for you.
And I'm coming out with like a potty timer watch, and so the factory that I have right now, they do wood products and paper products. So this new product that I'm coming out with is more of like an electronic. So this is the first time that I've been sourcing a new factory, which is a pretty big deal because it's opening up kind of like a new category. So that's all of these things are still learning curve, because I've only been working with this one factory. Now I'm working with multiple factories. But again, they helped source that factory for me.
And does he come and give you like, hey, I found 3 factories, I think they're great, and you choose which one, or does he just come to you with the final decision?
He just comes to me with the final. Says, hey, I found a good factory for you. This is it. And
Cool.
even for an initial run, I'm doing the minimum order quantity. MOQ is what I just recently learned. See, even though I've been in this for a while, I'm still learning every day. So I'm just doing a very small run just to make sure everything works. Because I'm still such a small company. If something like this, a new product, if I invest too much money in it, I'll go bankrupt. So I'm still very frugal in the decisions that I make with the business.
And would you be open to sharing that for new sellers who want to find factories in China? What is the name of this business if they want someone to communicate with factories for them?
Yeah, I'd be happy to share. I need to ask them first. I'm not sure, but I know I don't see any reason why they wouldn't want to have more business, and I want to support them as well. So
Okay,
it's a win-win for everybody.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, let me know.
I'm not trying to gatekeep at all. If somebody else has an idea that's not knocking my product off.
Well, we try to help people with all sorts of resources and tools like this because I just spoke with another seller who unfortunately she didn't have a liaison in and she was manufacturing in India
Mhm.
and she got ripped off by a seller who told her or a supplier who told her like I'm this big factory and made it seem like he's making products for big brands and
Yeah,
whatnot, and it ended up being like this small shop in a corner of a
yeah.
plaza or something. So until she hired someone and she came on here and she shared that. So like if you're sourcing, especially if you're sourcing fabrics in India, you want to have someone down there
Oh,
talking to
that's so
factories.
interesting.
So it really
Yeah,
makes a difference, you know. There's a lot of scams
absolutely.
out there.
Yeah, that's something that I like the company that helps me with that, that I would never be where I'm at right now without a third party to help me through that process.
Yeah, and you know, we teach how to find good quality suppliers on Alibaba. I don't know if you're familiar with Alibaba.com.
Mhm,
It's mostly for factories that are in China. There are factories on there that are from other countries, but it's mostly for the China market.
mhm,
But we do teach how to target like good quality suppliers because there are ways for you to figure that out on Alibaba because there could be like some nuances there with some suppliers that you don't want to engage with. So we teach how to filter them out and find like a good one. But having a
mhm,
liaison obviously is way better. It's more expensive, obviously. It's a service that you have to pay for. But I
mhm.
think for something like what you're doing and you're inventing this new thing, it's definitely well worth it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know we have a lot to cover
okay.
and there's a lot of exciting information here. I mean, I could talk to you for hours, uh, but I wanted to jump. So yeah, you found your supplier, and
Mhm,
now we're looking at a prototype. So it's you got your samples for free, which is kind of cool. You had to pay for shipping.
yeah.
And let me see here. That didn't cost you money. Then you got into your first inventory order, which wow, you ordered almost 13,000 units
Yeah,
for
I
your
was not
first
messing
order.
around.
You were not messing around.
No,
Yeah.
this was like, like all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this unfortunately, this was the only option that I had at this moment, which I don't really like to have all my eggs in one basket, but at this point in my life, that was my only option.
You spent almost $55,000,
Mhm.
a little over on these units. And that was, I'm guessing that was from the money you saved up from the last business. You
So
used it
I
for.
so I actually I took out a loan, and that floated the business expenses, and I think I was able to pay that off within, a year, but I did not tap into my own personal funds. I was just specifically living off of that,
Nice. You took out a business loan?
from we'll call it a business loan. It was from my parents.
That's pretty cool. Like, yeah, you took big. I mean, you took a chance on yourself. Basically, I want to say you
Absolutely.
took a big risk, but you took a big chance on yourself. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And then let me see what I see here. So you got your barcodes from GS1. Did you use the same graphic designer to help you with the packaging design, your
I
logo?
did all that. She didn't so the only thing that she gave me was, it was a very simplified activity board, so like the layout, and then, the little mug shots and the blocks. That was it. I did everything else.
Hmm. That's amazing.
So, like, thank you. Yeah, like the whole design that you see, I designed all of it.
That's very impressive.
Thank you.
And you got your barcodes from GS1. Did you get
Mhm.
you said here that you bought a package of 50 SKUs,
I think it
but
was only no, I don't think maybe that was a
oh, no,
typo. I
sorry,
think it
that
was
was
5.
$50.
Yeah, it wasn't that much. I think it was like a pack of like 5 or 10 or something.
Got it. Okay, nice. And then um did you start an LLC or did you use your existing?
No, this is completely new business. It's yeah, started up an LLC, and I think it's a corporation LLC, and I get very confused. Um,
C Corp?
yeah, I think so. Can a C corp be an LLC too? Like
Well, it's
there's
the
always
way
that
it's
thought.
taxed. So
Oh,
you
okay,
can have an LLC that's taxed as a sole proprietor, or you can have an LLC that's taxed as an S Corp or C Corp.
yeah, I feel like
I
it's a
think.
C corp, but I could be wrong. So I don't remember. I have an accountant, and that's above my pay grade. So she does that stuff for me.
So you paid an accountant to file an LLC for you,
Yes.
and
And it's out of Delaware.
got it. Okay.
Hmm.
And you put here that that cost you $90 to file?
Yes, I went back. Yeah, I went back on certain. I'm very savvy when it comes to like spreadsheets and stuff. But that went back so far, and everything was happening so fast. It took me a little digging to figure all that stuff out. But yes.
Nice. Um, and how did you get a trademark during that time?
Yeah.
Applied for a trademark.
Hmm.
Did you do that through the USPTO office? Did you do it yourself?
My attorney did that for me.
Your attorney did that? Okay.
Hmm.
And how much did that cost you?
He actually owns 5% of the business, so he did it for free.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's why you have a C Corp, because you have a partner.
Yeah, I have right now I have 3 partners,
Okay.
but I'm majority owner. I owned 85% of the company.
Got it. Nice. So you got your trademark through your partner did it for you. And then we have the shipping cost. Okay. How much okay, so you're saying here you spent about $5,000 to ship your product to the warehouse, and you said your container got flagged by customs, and that
Like
cost,
every time.
oh my God.
Yeah.
And that cost an additional $3,000 in intensive exam fees. Do you know why that happened?
From what I was told, it's just because I was a new importer. So I think
Oh,
almost every container except for one got flagged until I could switch over to Amazon's uh, AGL, the Amazon Global Logistics is what they call it, AGL. Yeah, immediately once they offered that for manufacturers in China, done. So I switched the services over to that, and I've never had an issue since. And this shipping is it's not a fraction of the price, but it's definitely cheaper, especially when you're not getting flagged. So yeah, it was not great.
how did you find the Amazon Global Logistics?
I think I probably just got an email, honestly, because they had opened it up to manufacturers or factories in China, and that
Hmm.
wasn't the case before. So that was a huge game changer for me and made everything much more streamlined.
And initially, how did you find your freight forwarder? Was it through the factory or was it a third party?
No, it was through a third party. I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember how I started to utilize them. I
And
don't remember.
and is the $5,000 including the additional cost, or did you pay an extra $3,300 on top of the $5,000 shipping fee, or is the
That was the extra.
5,000?
That was not total. That was extra. So shipping was 5 grand, and then the intensive
Oh
fee
wow,
to like store it, because they charge you to store it, they charge you for the exam, and then they charge you to ship it to you
oh wow,
from
they charge you for the
from
exam
the
too.
yeah, from the exam site. And at that point, I was still housing all the inventory on my site. So then when the Amazon Global Logistics came out, I switched gears and I no longer housed the product anymore, and I utilized their facilities keep all of my inventory.
And then you paid $2,000 when you received your inventory to ship to Amazon.
Probably it was probably somewhere around there. Yeah. So that was another additional fee because I had to house product myself. And then they didn't have the what do they call it now? So they have FBA, but then they have the larger warehouses, which the name is slipping my mind right now. But it's basically where the containers come from China and they keep everything there and then they distribute it from that location. But that wasn't, they didn't have those huge hubs before. So I would just distribute it to like whatever FBA center they would want me to. Usually it was probably in California. And then California's FBA site would, spread it across the country.
I see.
So especially just by one person doing this job, they're like my workers. They're like my little worker bees because I can't do all this stuff by myself. So it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why we recommend Amazon as a place to start, because it's a lot to deal with if you have to do that yourself. Well, that's pretty cool. Well, that's amazing that you did all of that, and now that's some of the hardest work to get done. Most people don't even get to that stage. So
yeah.
So congratulations. That's really cool. And now, you added a few expenses here. You put annual bond fee, importing goods from China. Okay.
So I was just trying to go over anything that I could think of for additional costs. So when you have an importer, you can only have one importer on your bond license. So I had my previous freight carrier, which they would charge me like $500 a year to just be the bond carrier, the bond holder. But now switching to Amazon, I think they only charge like $300. But those were my upfront costs right when I started the business.
Totally. And you paid an annual liability insurance for $3 million. That's an e-commerce insurance, right?
Yeah.
For $8,000. Who did you get the insurance through?
Right now I think it's there's a company that I'd have to look that up. I don't remember. Okay. There's a company that does it for me and then gets the bids. But I think it's changed. I think it's called Accord right now, but it's changed a few times depending on who has the better price.
I was just listening to a podcast recently, and unfortunately, the names escape my mind, but there's this new e-commerce insurance company that helps Amazon sellers and they charge them based on how much they sell monthly. And they don't overcharge them, because I hear some of the e-commerce insurance companies, they will charge you a flat fee, whether you sell the amount that you sell or you don't. And this company doesn't. And they kind of track how much you sell, and they only charge you for how much you sold that month, which is pretty cool.
Interesting.
But I don't remember. And they also help you if you oversell, because I hear like if you pay for a certain amount, if you only pay for, like, let's say you're selling for number's sake, like your sales are $1 million a month and you sell for 5 million at some point. If anything happens outside of the 1 million that you're insured of, they won't cover that. So they don't have that fluidity of like growing with you. If you grow and you're like, oh, I didn't sign up for a bigger insurance plan, doesn't cover that much. So they kind of flow with you, which is kind of cool. I need to get the name of that. Yeah, I need to get the name of that company to share that with other sellers. Anyway, so the next thing is you paid Secretary of State $70. Do you know what that's for?
I don't. There's just like a few like random license fees and business fees that I have to annually pay. I don't even know what that's for, but I have to pay it every year.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I have to pay here like a city license fee every year in California or in the city that I'm in.
Yeah.
And I think that's about it. We don't have Secretary of State here.
Yeah, I don't know. That one's I'm sure I could ask my accountant and she'd be able to tell me, but I don't know.
No worries. And you pay $290 for a website.
Yeah.
Cool. That covers all the startup costs, and it all adds up to $75,000 and 600, and you have about 13,000 units. And after all expenses, your product cost per unit comes out to $4.8. So
Hmm.
$4.80 or 83
Yeah.
to be exact. So that's pretty good. That's amazing, actually. That's pretty good
Yeah.
price. And your selling price is 24.99.
Yeah. And at that point, I've kind of bounced around on price. It has been 29.99. It's been 27.99, 26.99. Right now, I feel comfortable at 20. I've always wanted it to be 24.99. And then some of my licensed products are now at 19.99 because they are not selling as fast as I was anticipating. So I'm kind of actually trying to liquidate through that product.
Hmm. Oh, okay. Can you wait? Can you explain that a little bit more?
License deal.
You're trying to liquidate through that product, you said?
Yeah, so I got a license deal with Hasbro and I created a Peppa Pig theme and a My Little Pony Pig theme, just to kind of capture the market for a little bit of an older potty training generation, which was, in my experience, my child. And I went all in on that product. I brought a full high cube container of each theme, and they do not sell as much as my original themes do, which to me is great because now I know like that's the market that I'm in is, farm animals, dinosaurs, and vehicles, which makes sense. But I thought by it being a licensed product that maybe there's very big Peppa Pig fans out there that are like 2 or 3 years old, or My Little Pony Pig fans, or My Little Pony fans, and my other three themes outrank them by a lot. So I lowered the price point on my licensed products to try and get some more traction on those listings. And then people can just spend an extra few bucks on my original themes if they choose to do that. But my license deal runs out in about a year. And if I don't sell through all that product, I have to destroy it. Like I can, or otherwise somebody can wholesale buy it, but I can't legally sell that product underneath my brand anymore in a year. So I'm trying to, and it's a lot of inventory. I have like 13,000 units of My Little Pony and probably like 9 of Peppa Pig. So it was a big expense. It was a big gamble and it didn't pan out. So now I'm paying for it.
Wow.
But it's a learning mistake. It's a learning curve. But now I've already made changes to the way I run my business and I place much smaller purchase orders just more often, just so I don't get stuck in this position like I'm in right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. When was the second time you placed an inventory order
For
after
my
your
original
initial?
themes.
Yes.
Oh, I could tell you right now. It wasn't, I placed, so the first one the next one was, it looks like it was about a year later.
2021.
So I placed my first purchase order in 2019
Oh, got it.
and June of 2019. And the second one was in June of 2020.
June of 2020.
Hmm. And the next one, it was probably about a year out. Cause I was doing, since I was, since we kept getting flagged for our
Mm,
containers, at that point, I was doing larger purchase orders because we knew that we were going to get flagged and we were going to have to pay for the intensive exam, whether how much inventory you had, it was going to be the same price. And we were keeping it on our property. So it wasn't like I wanted to place a whole bunch of smaller purchase orders at that time. I wanted to just place one big one and keep it all year because I didn't, it was on my site. So it didn't really matter. But now with it being with Amazon and I'm paying to house it in their storage area, now I want to like kind of like cycle through that product a lot faster. So that's where the smaller purchases come into play. I hope I answered that
yeah.
question. I feel
Yeah,
like I
no,
went off on a
that's pretty
tangent.
good. That's pretty good supply chain management. I'm curious if you don't mind, and we'll get into the numbers in a second. Uh, but I would like to know, was your second inventory order about the same
Yeah.
quantity, same
Yep, I was
price?
just ordering full high cube or tall. It's either a high cube, is that what they call it? A high cube container or tall boy? I don't remember. It's one of those things. But it was a full like 54-foot high cube container each time.
And did you change your initial design in the second order, or was that came after?
For like the design of Potty Time Adventures.
Yeah.
I think the core of the product has always stayed the same, but the packaging, I think honestly, I think I've tweaked it every purchase order.
Every purchase order. Okay.
just like slightly.
And you have 3 SKUs.
I have 4. Well, now I have 6. So
But
I have
initially it was
initially
3,
it was 3. Yeah.
and then you grew it to 6 throughout the
Yes.
years.
Yeah.
Nice. And all right, now for the exciting part that
Mhm.
everyone's waiting for. So year one, you
Exciting it's
launched
gonna
in
be.
2020, and you have amazingly produced almost $200,000 in revenue, which is amazing. And after all expenses, obviously, first year was a big negative for you because you took that loan. I can see that you took out
Yeah.
a $200,000 loan.
Mhm.
Okay, so that was a big loan. So including that, which we didn't count in the initially into the startup cost,
Yeah.
but with all of that, your net profit was almost negative 500,000.
Mhm.
If we take the loan out, you were negative 200,000. But the cool thing is, in your second year, you more than made up for that. Your revenue was $400,000, and after all expenses, your net was $130,000.
Mhm.
So that is amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, you gotta take a gamble on yourself. It's a lot. The numbers are big, but it's just slow and steady. You got kinks to work out. It just takes time.
Yeah, so tell me about some of the things that so a lot of sellers obviously they want to be positive from day one, right? So year one, like you were selling, and did you feel like how did you feel? Like what was your experience through the first year of launching this brand?
I was really excited. I know it takes a while to get something launched that people don't even know exists. No one's ever made an Advent potty chart. So, the brand awareness and just educating people on what it was, that was a big hurdle. But I think having the momentum of Shark Tank behind us was really exciting. So it was I think we were probably in year 1 of launching the product that I had applied for Shark Tank, and they got back to us and said, "Hey, we're going to pass for this year, but we're going to put you on the list for next year." So we didn't have to go back and reapply again. They just said, "We've already made our decisions for this year, but we're going to circle back for next year." So that momentum in the back of your head kind of carries you through, knowing that Shark Tank's going to call you back in a year. They didn't say it was like a shoe-in to actually be filmed. You still had to go through the whole process, but they said, "Don't reapply. You're on the list for next year, so we'll get back to you." So I think that was a huge motivation
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
exciting.
to get you through like the 500,000 in negative. So, we're like, "It's okay. It's going to work out." You just always, very positive. Had the feedback was starting to build up for reviews on Amazon. Most of it was all positive feedback. The only negative feedback that I've really ever received is if the manufacturer or not the manufacturer, the factory had messed up. So, maybe there was a block missing out of one here and there, and then I would get a negative review on that. But I know that necessarily wasn't my fault specifically on the design of the product. It was just the factory, and humans are humans, and we're going to mess up every once in a while. So just kill the customer with kindness, and try and, give them some free stuff and apologize like crazy. And usually people are okay and they're understanding like 90% of the time.
Was most of your sales through Amazon?
Yeah. So I did launch on, I did QVC, I did HSN, I did Bye Bye Baby, Bed Bath and Beyond, Zulily. I've tried all the platforms, and it's so much work. It did not pay off. So I'm just sticking with Amazon.
Did you lose money at all by trying other avenues, like different?
I mean, probably all in all, I don't know if I necessarily lost money, but my time is way more valuable than the amount of time I was putting into this to try and
Mm,
sell it on other platforms when Amazon clearly outranked everybody. So it's not worth the hassle.
yeah. And year three, you've made $745,000 in revenue. And
Hmm.
after all expenses, you were net 40,000.
Yeah.
What was the biggest expense there that cut your net or
I
you
don't
had?
remember. I know I was filling out the spreadsheet. I know I started to pay myself. So that could have been it. Are you seeing anything on the spreadsheet that stands out? I don't remember.
I see your PPC went up. You had a $10,000. I don't know if that's a loan in 2022. There was a
Oh,
$10,000 expense.
that's my license deal.
That was your license deal
Yeah. So I have my license deal for 3 years. The first year it's 10 grand, and the last 2 years it's 15 grand
with
with Hasbro.
Hasbro. Okay.
Hmm.
And yeah, I see PPC went up, and everything else is looks fine, but it paid off. I guess your deal or license paid off because in year 2023 you made $650,000 in revenue, and you have, oh my god, sorry.
Yeah.
Biggest year yet, and camera goes out. Biggest year yet, 2023, $650,000 in revenue, and you have made $250,000 in net profits. That must have been exciting.
Yeah. So, and I'm looking at the spreadsheet. Is that, is all those things come about? And, I started to pay myself last year. And then in the spreadsheet says like what's in the bank account versus, it basically says like how much money I have right now in my business account. I'm like, shoot, that's like your spreadsheet worked out pretty, like it actually works really well, because I think it was within like $5,000 of what I actually had in my bank for my business bank. I was impressed.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really impressive. I love it. And so far this year, you have made almost $400,000 in revenue, and your net is even better because you are close to last year's net. Yeah, you're so far at 171,000, which is pretty good because your
Hmm.
revenue is almost half of last year's,
Yeah.
and your net is close to last year. So you're definitely doing something better. Are you doing something different this year?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, last year I pretty much took the whole year off because I was going through a divorce. So I actually didn't do much with the business at all. I just made sure it was maintaining and running. And so it was actually just in May, June. Let's see here. It was just in, because it was over a year and a half that I didn't do anything. It was in June of this year, 2024, that I actually started to push the product again. So my sales are starting
Mm,
to increase now. It's just like, it's like a moving train. Like you got all this momentum and speed, and it kind of carried me through last year. And then but I wasn't doing anything, so it started to slow down. So now I'm trying to pick it back up again, and it just takes time.
I see. You also cut your shipping cost in half,
Hmm.
which is really good. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And well,
Yeah. COVID was not good with shipping at all. That killed me.
mm. And you want to share something about your experience with Shark Tank, and
Oh yeah. What questions do you have?
how was well, I would like to know about like how much improvement or success did it like add to your business?
I think after Shark Tank aired, the business was booming more for the day of the airing and maybe a few days after. Done. That's pretty much it. Now I get street cred to say that I was on Shark Tank. That's awesome. And it's in syndication on different television sites. So like CSNBC, they do all the reruns. So when there's a rerun that airs, I definitely get a boost in sales. So there's a big bonus in that. But I don't think it's like it hasn't carried me consistently throughout. If people think that, you still got to put in the work. It's not gonna run itself. So
Mm,
I'm super grateful that I was able to get on the show, because not that many people are able to do that. And it was an amazing experience. I would totally do it again. I loved it. But when it airs, it's great. You get a perk in sales, but when it's not airing, it's business as usual,
got it. Yeah, that makes sense.
from my experience.
So it's like free advertising for your
Yeah,
brand, pretty much.
exactly. Yep.
One of the best, probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. And I know we're running out of time here, and I want to be respectful of your time. But I would like to end this podcast on a note of what are three costly mistakes that you have made that if you would go back, you're like, and you would talk to yourself back in 2020, you're like, avoid these mistakes because they're going to cost you a lot of money. What would those mistakes be?
My license deal has not paid off, unfortunately. I love Hasbro and
Mm,
I love those themes. But they are not there. I'm not going to continue the license deal. It's going to end when the license terms run out. So that has not panned out the way that I thought it would. But now I know. Man, I'm trying to think of what other costly mistakes. I feel
and how much this license deal cost you? As you said, it's $15,000 a year.
yeah, so total it is so it's 15, 15, and 10. So it's 40 grand.
Wow.
40 grand for 3 years. And then if you don't sell through the product that you have, then you have to get rid of it. So I'll hold on to it. And if you know anybody that wants me to donate product somewhere, I'd much rather donate it somewhere than to throw it out. So if there's anybody that's listening that has like a big charity that they'd like to donate the product to, I'd be more than happy to. Maybe just help me with the shipping costs to get it there, but I'd give it to you for free. So it's great advertisement, and it's my only way to pay it forward right now, is just to give away my product. So I'd love to do that if I could. Trying to think of any other big expenses that there wasn't really anything. There's big expenses that happened, but it was out of my control. So COVID hit, shipping costs went up. It was completely out of my control. I couldn't do anything about that. There were some things that the manufacturers, the factory has messed up on, that have cost me money and bad reviews. But again, that's also out of my control because you do quality control and you take a certain amount of products and you do the quality control on that batch. It's randomly selected. But if there is some guy or girl that was, not paying attention that day during work, maybe they insert the packaging and it's upside down. So then when people are punching out the holes, it looks like there's not a block in there, but actually it was just inserted upside down. One day someone wasn't paying attention and my sticker sheet, they put it in the die cut wrong. So all of my stickers were flip flopped. So there's just certain things that happen, and don't always get caught by quality control. And that's just, there isn't anything we can do about it. You just have to pivot and make sure that you can just, fix it and move on.
Mm, yes, and you can't do anything about inspection. Obviously, that's out of your
Yeah.
control. It's a random
Yeah. I mean, unless
check.
you can't necessarily sit there and inspect every single product. That's not how they do it. And there's also a percentage rate where even if there is products that don't pass the quality control, there's a standard percentage rate that it needs to pass in order to get shipped off. So
Mm,
things happen. It's just, we're human.
right, right. Um, yeah, and I wanted to ask you actually before, are you good on time? I'm
Yeah.
gonna let
I don't
you
have to
go.
leave. I don't have, yeah, no, I still have an hour and a half till I have to do anything. I'm good.
Okay, and I won't take much of your time, but since
Hmm.
I wanted to ask you about your reviews. You have really good reviews on a lot of your listings, and I
Hmm.
wanted to ask you, are a lot of those organic reviews, or do you do
They're all
something?
organic, all
Mm,
of them. That's one thing that I was really specific about, that I didn't, obviously no one should tamper with those things, but there's a lot of Amazon sellers that do. And those are all 100% organic reviews. I haven't paid anybody to put those reviews on there. Those are legit. Because I'm trying to provide a product that can really resonate with people that are having a difficult time, because it's incredibly stressful and I don't want to misadvertise. So if there's any bad reviews on there, it's usually because a block was missing.
well, congratulations. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
That's
Thank
definitely
you.
reflects a good brand and a good product development, and you've done a really good job. And I just want to congratulate you on all the success. Everything you've been through is very inspiring, and I mean, I think a lot of people are going to hear your story and going to be inspired to do something, and I know it's not easy. I mean, you did a lot of hard work, um and that's why it's admirable, and any last words? And I want you to encourage people who are just starting. Okay, your younger
Mhm.
self, maybe obviously you had a business before this, but let's assume this is your first business back in 2020. what is an advice you can give yourself, to do all this, to go through it?
I would say then and continuing through now, always bet on yourself. Don't don't bet on anybody else. Always invest in yourself, because if anybody's going to make anything happen, it's going to be you. Nobody else is going to do it for you. So that would be my advice always. And if anybody wants to reach out and has any questions, I'm happy just to extend any thoughts or encouragement. I just opened up my own website, mindyby.com, which is shocking because they actually had my my full name for .com. So I was excited about that. So you might see me as Mindy Wright everywhere, but I'm not anymore. I'm Mindy By. I went back to my maiden name. So I'm happy to help in any way that I can for any questions.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Mindy. Thank you for being
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for taking the time.